In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to solve fractions within fractions, and I will be using two different ways of doing it, and it might you might be tempting to use calculator for these kind of questions, but it is not that hard to do these calculations by hand. So I'm going to show you how to simplify fractions within fractions, and I will be doing two different ways. So the first one is when you have 2 plus 1/3 and 2 minus 1/3. The first method you can use is by using least common divisor. And if you look at here, so what we need to do is by using least common divisor, we are going to get rid of a fraction which we have. So here we have a fraction in the numerator, fraction in the denominator. So using least common divisor, I'm going to get rid of the fraction here. So now here you can see, because if it's 2, which is same as 2 divided by 1, I can write 2 divided by 1 and 2 divided by 1. And here for least common divisor of 1 and 3 is going to be 3. So I can multiply the numerator by 3, and before you do it, make sure that you use bracket, because you are going to multiply this 3 with both the numbers which is inside the bracket. So similarly here, multiply by 3. So when we do that, we need to multiply this 2 by 3 and this 1/3 by 3. So 2 multiplied by 3 gives me 6. So 6 plus 1/3 of 3 is 1, and then divide by 2 times 3 is 6, minus same thing, in the numerator you have plus, in the denominator you have minus. So you got, this is 7 divided by 5. So that is your final answer. So using least common divisor. Now I'm going to do it without using least common divisor. So what you can do here is you can rewrite this as 2 over 1, 1 over 3rd. Same step as in the previous one. And after that, I'm going to deal this as two separate questions. So I will simplify numerator and separately and denominator separately. So I'm going to first write down, I know how to add fractions, because what we have in the numerator, adding whole number with a fraction, and we know how to add that. And here also, as you know, any number can be written as a fraction, so we know how to add two fractions. So I'm going to treat them as two separate questions. So in numerator, I need to make, so to be able to add or subtract the fractions, you have to have same denominator. So I'm going to do multiply by 3, and same here. So you got here, the numerator is 6 divided by 3 minus 1 divided by 3, and then you have 6 divided by 3 minus 1 divided by 3. So you got here 6 divided by 3 is 5 over 3 minus 1 over 3, and you got 5 over 3 plus 1 over 3. So here you got 4 divided by 3. Up was plus and down is its minus. Okay, so you got 6 divided by 3 and you got 4 divided by okay, so this is 6, this is 6. So you got here 7 divided by 3 and you got here 5 divided by 3. Now if you have A divided by B, and then you have C divided by T. So here this is the main division. Then we know when we are dividing two fractions, so when you have, let's say when you had so when you are dividing two fractions, what do you do here is, so when you have fraction here, divide by fraction here, so you change it into multiplication. So what you need to do here is A over B multiply by, and when you change it, whatever is after the division sign, we take the reciprocal of it. So this becomes D divided by C. So here what will happen here is you will have 7 over 3 multiplied by 3 over 5, and this 3 and 3 will get cancelled. You will get 7 over 5. This may seem a bit more complicated, so but I wanted to show two different ways of doing it, and you are more than welcome to use the least common divisor to simplify the fractions within the fraction. Okay, but in case if you want to use this, you can also use it, but this one will be much simpler. So I'm going to do the next one, which is the this one, 2 over 3 plus 3 over 4. This question is slightly difficult than this one, because here the least common divisor was 3. So we didn't have to do much calculations. In this case, the least common divisor is going to be, because if you take the multiples of 3, 3, 6, 9, 12, and 4, 8, 12. So the least common divisor is going to be 12. So what we need to do here is, we need to multiply the numerator and denominator by 12. Okay, and again, always make sure that whenever you are simplifying the expressions, you have equal to sign in front of that. Now again, bracket is important. You decided the least common divisor, and then you are multiplying with this, and now you have to multiply each and every term with 12. So this one with 12 and 3 over 4 with 12, and in the denominator it's exactly the same. The only difference is plus and minus, so you don't have to do this step again. So 2/3 of 12, so 2/3 of 12 is going to be 8, and then plus 3/4 of 12. So 2/3 of 12 is 8, and 3/4 of 12 is going to be 9. So 8 plus 9, in the denominator you will have same, but 8 minus 9. So you got 17 over -1. So your final answer in this case is -17. We can also do using different method now. So I'm going to show you. So the numerator, I can see 3 and 4 is 12. So I'm going to do exactly 3 over 4 times 12. And here 2 over 3 minus 3 over 4 times 12. In this case, it seems like exactly the same as least common divisor. Only last step will be different. So we already know here. Okay, no, sorry. So here you are doing 2 over 3 times 4 divided by 4 plus 3 over time 3 divided by 3. Okay, and then 2 over 3 multiply by 4 over 4 minus 3 over 4 multiply by 3 over 3. So here you got 8 over 12 plus 9 over 12, 8 over 12 minus 9 over 12. And then you will get 7 over 12, 17 over 12, and then minus 1 over 12. And then you have to use the same thing. Or you can, if the denominators are same, you can cancel them out. So this is -17. Again, this is least common divisor is something which you should actually be using here, because you get rid of the fractions immediately, and then it's much easier. Okay, I did show you 2 different ways for these 2 problems, but for next 2 problems I'm going to just use least common divisor method. Okay, and then if you want, you can try yourself. So here 1 over 3 plus 1 over 4 using least common divisor. So here it's a bit tricky because you have all 3 numbers which is different, 3, 4 and 5. So the least common denominator in this case is going to be, if you make a list, 3, 6, 9, and then 4, 8, 5, 10. So you will see that least common divisor in this case is going to be 60. So again we are ready. 1 over 3 plus 1 over 4 multiply by 60. 1 minus 1 over 5 multiply by 60. So we got here, we have to multiply both. 1/3 of 60 is 20. 1/4 of 60 is 15. And then 1 times 60. So you have to multiply this by. So 1 times 60 is 60 minus 1/5 of 60 is 12. So this becomes 35 divided by 48. Okay, so it's much simpler if you use least common denominator. If I will do this again, I am not going to do that, but maybe I will just start the initial step here. So here, if you want to solve this one, you need to do is plus 1 over 4, and you start here. 1 can be written as 5 over 5. So denominator is simpler here. So this multiply by 4, multiply by 4, multiply by 3, multiply by 3. Okay, I didn't want to do it, but it seems like maybe this method is easier in case if you don't know the least common divisor for 3, 4, 5 is 60, or if in case you are spending too much of time trying to figure out what is the least common divisor for this one. So maybe this method is not that bad in this case. Okay, so that is 4 over 12 minus 3 over 12 and then 4 over 5, and then you get here, sorry, this is plus, so you got here let me check again. So this is 4 and this is 3, yeah, and this one is, yeah. So you got here is 7 over 12 divided by 4 over 5. And now this is the only harder step, because when you are dividing, the denominator you have to take the reciprocal of the denominator. And then this is same as 35 over 48. So it's not that bad here, okay? Now in this one, the next one here, so it's the same thing here, because you can see the numbers in the denominator here is 2, 3, 4, and 5. So which means the least common divisor might be a problem, but we already did for 3, 4, 5, it's a 60. So for 2, 3, 4, 5, also the least common divisor is 60. So once you know that, 1 plus 1 over 4 minus 1 over 3, multiply by 60, 1 minus half. This is a bit harder because in the previous questions, the last two questions, so your numerator and denominator was kind of exactly the same, only change was plus and minus. So here also, but in these two questions, you have numerator and denominator which is different, completely different. One is addition, subtraction, but the numbers are all different. So this is a bit complex than the previous two. Okay, so multiply by 60. So you will get here, I'm going to work here. So 1 times 60, remember you have to multiply each and every term by 60. So, if you want, you can use these arrowheads, which means, you will remember that you have to multiply each and everything with that number outside the bracket. So 1 times 60 is 60 plus 1/4 of 60 is 15. 1/3 of 60 is 20. 1 times 60 is 60 plus minus, be careful, half of 60 is 30, 1/5 of 60 is 12. So we got here 75 minus 20, 60 minus 30 is 30 plus 12, 42. So this becomes 55 over 42. So if you can simplify it further, you simplify it further. If not, then that will be your final answer. Double check. And if you got 55 or 42 and you cannot simplify, make sure that you change it into, because it's an improper fraction, change it into mixed fraction. So you will get 1/13 divided by 42. Okay, so now just a quick recap. So whenever you have fractions with fractions, of course, you can use calculator for that, but you also need to know how to do it by hand. So the easiest way in most of the questions will be if you can figure out least common divisor. Once you have a least common divisor, you get rid of the denominator by multiplying with that least common divisor in the numerator and denominator. And then the steps you can see, go back and you can see the steps, all the steps again. So similarly here, and I also explained the different way of doing it, where you treat numerator as one problem and denominator as another problem. And then when you are adding or subtracting the fractions, you make the denominator same, and then you can simplify that way as well. That's it for today's lesson.